Welcome back to Lenz Novel Review. This is episode number 33 and Doubleshot number 9. Yeah, it's been a little while since I've done Doubleshot. Yep. Alright. First up, it's Star Wars Rogue One. This is the adaptation of the film that came out just 2 months ago. I actually saw it in theaters, and I really enjoyed it. Unlike some people, probably that was a pretty decent film. I actually really enjoyed it. This book is a really good adaptation of the movie. I recommend watching the movie first, then reading this, because, well, I don't want to spoil it, but it is good. It pretty much sticks pretty close to the movie. There's no real changes made to it, nothing really added to it, but it's still a good novel nonetheless. I give it a 9 out of 10. It's a good novel. Alright, next up is Star Trek Parade, Book 1, Hell's Heart, by John Jackson Miller. Yeah, this is a book that came out just, I believe, last year. Yep. It's the first of a 3-book trilogy dealing with basically the Klingons. First time an actual series of books have dealt with the Klingon Empire. First time I've seen it since the Left Hand Destiny doxology that came out, I think it was back a little over about 12, 13 years ago. It was a 2-book doxology that picked up right after the series finale of Deep Space Nine, from Worf's perspective. Don't worry, Worf is in here along with Chancellor Martok, and a character I have not seen since the Time 2 series, Emperor Kahless, who apparently went to hiding. As far as I know, this is the first time in the continuity. It had been 8 years since he had been last seen. Everyone was happy to see him. Heck, I was too. Now, there are it's set in 2 different time periods, per se. I mean, the present-day stuff of this book is set in... Let's see here. Let me bring up... Let's see. Okay, the present-day stuff is set in February 2386, which means it takes place, 3 months after the events of Star Trek Fall series. And the prelude takes place in 2286, not long after the at least a few months. Let's see. It says it takes place several months after the events of Star Trek 4, which is referenced briefly in the book. Now, for a follow-up exactly what happened after the film, read the book Star Trek Probe. That pretty much kind of explains exactly where that probe came from. And of course, yes, they also run into basically the group of people who would become threatened in the present-day stuff, who are called the Unsung. Basically, what they are is that they're a group of about 300 discombobulated Klingons who are meant to simply just wander all over the place. And here's the thing. They decided, Kirk found them, by the way. It was like 3 freighter ships carrying these 300 Klingons, dishonored ones. And they decided to settle on the planet in the Briar Patch. Now, this is the first time in the Star Trek books I've actually seen the Briar Patch. And probably the first time in the Star Trek, timeline that they've been to the Briar Patch since Star Trek Insurrection. A not very popular movie among current Star Trek fans. I don't really care for the movie because of how much hypocritical people tend to be. Now, as far as I can tell, that planet that was featured in that film is not referenced in here. But it's nice the fact that Briar Patch was brought up, and also the fact that they also mentioned that Dr. Unsung, who was the ancestor of Data, he was the one who named it the Briar Patch. I like the fact they reference Enterprise in here. That was really nice. And was from one of the good episodes of the series. Yep. And also, there's this character called Kurg, I think his name is. He apparently is supposed to be the adopted son of Commander Kurg. Who he is, he's basically the main villain of Star Trek 3, Search for Spock. He was a character portrayed by the awesome Christopher Lloyd, who's known for stuff like Taxi and Back to the Future. Now, people don't really think that the Star Trek films had a reputation where the other movies are not very good. I personally enjoy Star Trek 3 Search for Spock. I think it's one of 2 films in the Star Trek film series that is an odd number film, I think it's severely underrated because it's an odd number movie, and it's not really a bad movie. Some people think it's just average. I thought it was a really good movie altogether. It's nice the fact that they reference that and do a follow-up with basically what happened to Kirk's house after his death in the film. Yeah, it's been out for over 30. It's now for a little over 30, almost 30 years now. So I can simply spoil it. It came out in 1984, and as of 3 years ago, it was 30. It celebrated its 30th anniversary. Yeah, but on this Voyage Home came out in 1986. But it's nice the fact they finally follow up with it, and the writer himself, I read it in acknowledgement, he's actually a fan of Star Trek 3. And, okay, that's a good motivation. I guess that pocketbook must like, okay, you're a fan of Star Trek 3, you want to do a follow-up what happened to his house? Fine, go ahead. So basically, yeah, this is the first of a 3-book trilogy. This is mainly a crossover between Star Trek Next Generation and Star Trek Titan. This is the I believe the second time this has actually happened in the Star Trek books, where you have a trilogy like this where it mainly crosses over with Titan and Next Generation. Now, heavily this book is featured with the Enterprise E. Now, later on, they add a couple more. They do add Titan. Riker is still an admiral at this point. Yeah, he's still an admiral. But this book is just pure awesomeness at its finest. I don't want to spoil too much of this book, but it's just really good. Oh, I will spoil this. The Unsung do something really... Oh, yeah. They also reference an episode from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It was basically a hunter species that apparently they encountered once, who was basically after a species called the Talk, who apparently used beaming technology. They actually can beam through shields. I know that's been a big plot hole for years. People can't beam through their shields, and yet they tend to do it. This species can actually do it because their technology allows them to do that. And apparently the Unsung apparently visited the Gamma Quadrant sometime prior and actually stole the technology. I believe the Enterprise paid them a visit, and they were surprised that their technology was ripped off. Actually, they actually contacted them. And yeah, they explained the fact, yeah, they're not the one they didn't sell it to them because they don't sell their technology. It was stolen from them. Okay, that's pretty interesting. But this is still good. I give this one a 9.5 out of 10. Okay? Alright. That's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which should be episode 34. And hopefully I'll get a chance to do book 2, maybe in the future, maybe another book. Who knows? But until then, I will see you there.